Hello everybody and welcome to Rust Masterclass series where we will learn building powerful packages. In this series we will dive first into the world of Rust and guide you through the process of creating powerful packages and seamlessly connecting them to databases. So grab your keyboards and get ready to level up your programming skills with Rust. Do subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's dive into the fascinating world of Rust powered packages together. Hey, welcome to Xpert. I am Abhishek Adhikari. In this video, we will get down on the basics of Rust. Before doing anything else, let's get Rust set up on our system. So let's quickly Google Rust programming and we'll go into their official website, that is rust-lang.org. And let's click on get started. The website automatically detects your OS and accordingly tells you how to install it. So I'm on Windows. So if you're also in Windows, just download the setup for your version of OS. So if you're on 32-bit, download this, and mostly you will be using 64-bit. So yeah, get that and get it set up. Once that's done, let's get into a terminal and let's make our first Rust file. Yeah, let's quickly make a new folder for our project and open it on VS Code. So if you have just set up Rust on your system, I will highly recommend you getting the extension for your text editors. On VS Code, it's called the Rust Analyzer. I already have that set up. And now let's write our first Rust file. Okay, so if you've used C, C++ or Java before, it's something like that. We need a main function as our entry point into our code. So first let's do the typical hello world function that everyone writes. Hello world. All right. So this exclamation thing, I'll not explain in this video, but basically print ln function here isn't a function. I'll get more into this in later videos, but yeah, this basically prints the given string in our system. So let's see that. So println stands for print line. So yeah, the string that we pass ends with the next line character. To run it, firstly we need to compile this code. So for that, once you've installed Rust on your system, you will have Rust C or the Rust compiler on your path. So we have to type Rust C and the file that you want to compile. Yeah, so no errors. The file got compiled. To run this, we just have to run the executable. So I'm on Windows, so I've got a main.exe, but it could be just main.sh, anything of that sort. So on different OS, it will create an executable that will run on that OS. So we'll just run main.exe and boom, we have hello world. I know this isn't fascinating enough, but yeah, that's the first thing we all do in a new programming language. So now let's see. Okay, yeah, let's see how variables work here. So I'll define a variable x equal to 5 and let's print it. So yeah, basically when we do this, the x gets substituted instead of this curly braces. Yeah, if we again try to run main.exe, of course it will print hello world because we need to recompile this new code into the new executable. So we'll again run rust main.rs. We got our new executable. We run this, and yeah, we got 5 printed here. Okay, now let's get something like this. So in Rust is a statically typed language, so we need types for each variables. But here, as you can see, I haven't defined anything because Rust implicitly assigns the type for this. And so it's basically an integer that integer 32, I guess, which Rust assigns it implicitly. Okay, let's get into some more stuff because variables works a little different here than other languages. So let's try to assign it a new value, x equal to 6. Let's compile it again. Okay, so we got an error. Uh, yes, this is one of the good features about Rust that I like a lot, is the error handling of this compiler. As you can see, it gives you a very detailed info on what has gone wrong, how to fix this. And if you can see, it tells us that value assigned to x is never used. That's a different thing. And yeah, this cannot assign twice to immutable variable x. So again, in Rust, unlike other languages, in Rust, everything by default is immutable. So we can fix this by adding mute x, basically mut before the variables. But before that, let's see this thing. So yeah, so the error handling tells us that this is the first assignment to x, and we can fix this by binding this as a mutable. And if we run this thing, yeah, this is just awesome. So it basically tells you about this error. So it actually gives you an example of how this error may have happened and why this is an error and how you can fix this. So this is just great. And so let's fix this for now, and we will see more later. So I've added mut. Let's save this file, recompile this. Okay. Again, this time there are no errors, but there is an warning. I'll come into that warning in some time, but let's run this. So yeah, it works. So we have converted this x into a mutable variable. So now we can reassign it. But again, when we have declared this variable, Rust has implicitly told that this is an integer 32. So we can only assign integer 32 values to this variable. So if we try something like this and try to compile it, it gives you an error because it expected an integer, but we have provided it as string. Again, I highly recommend whenever this type of errors occur, try doing this explain thing. This is just crazy awesome thing again. So yeah, that's that. So we'll make it 6. Now let's get back into the warning that it gave us. Yeah. So this error basically is telling that when we reassign this very value, before that it was never ever read. So basically it is telling us that instead of doing this, we could have easily gotten away with x equal to 6. That's basically, that's not an error, but yeah, sorry, that's not an error. This is an warning that it gives us. Again, this is a highly intelligent thing. I've never seen this before in other languages, but yeah, it's great. So when we do that, okay, that warning just got away, and now we have a new warning. It tells us that this variable doesn't need to be mutable because before reading it, it never got changed, and after reading it, it never got changed. So this variable doesn't need to be a mutable variable, but this again isn't an error. It's just a warning because Rust highly tries to make all variables mutable by default for security concerns. Again, we compile this. Boom, it works. Okay, now let's try something else. So we'll change the value here. And now we'll again print this. Let's compile this. Yes, 6, then it got reassigned to 7, it got printed, so everything worked as expected. Now let's try to do this. Yeah, so now let's try to fix that problem. That is, we want to assign a string to this variable x. Now, why, you may ask? Let's give me an example. Yeah, so let's see this. So basically, you have a block. For some reason, you are using this variable called temp for storing temporary values in a. Now in this scope itself, now you want a string to be assigned to this temp variable. Now what we will do? So currently there's this way we can define a new variable called temp1 and do that. That's there, but yeah, again, we are unnecessary creating more variables here. So in Rust, we can actually do this. Let temp equal to 7. I know this kind of weird because in other languages this will give you an error that we cannot redeclare variables in the same scope, but in Rust it's totally fine. It's just created totally brand new variable called temp with the new type with the new value. Okay, before I compile this, just see this code and think if we will get any warning or errors. The answer is, of course, we will get a warning. Okay, this different. I forgot to change this to temp. Yeah, we compile this. Yeah, so we got an warning that is this temp variable doesn't need to be mutable. Okay, just for practice, I asked that. So we will recompile this. Boom, it works as expected. So yeah, that's kind of weird, but yeah, this is how Rust works. Now we also have something called const or constants. Okay, so a main major difference between a constant and a temp is or a normal variable, a let variable is uh, the normal variables can be redeclared as we have already seen, and this we do not have to explicitly tell any type for this variable, but for a const we cannot redeclare a const or any variable with the same name, and we have to explicitly specify the type of this variable. So let's create something like message for message and make it of its type string. Let's type Xpert and print this. Let's compile this. Hopefully we won't get any errors. Yeah, and yeah, it works. Now let's try to see the errors that I was talking about. So we have to explicitly specify the type here. If we don't do that, we get an error. Provide a type for constant. So let's fix that. Now also we'll try that. Let's try to redeclare it. Yeah, message redefined here. Message must be defined only once in the value namespace of this block. Let's try to read this. a type or module has been defined more than once. It also tells you an example. Okay, so whenever this error occurs, again, I highly recommend reading this explanations here. Let's remove this. Okay, now let's try to see the package manager or the project setup, how you have to set up a project in Rust. So for that, we use the CLI tool called Cargo that already is installed when you set up Rust on your system. So we tell Cargo new and a new project name. So it creates a new directory with all the files needed. Let's see into this folder. Okay, so it initializes this folder with Git. It already provides a Git ignore file. So this target is where our compiled executables will be present. So yeah, we are ignoring them from Git. The cargo terminal file, this is basically if you have used Node.js, then this is the package JSON of your project. So basically we provide all the metadata and the dependencies here. We'll get it more into this file in later videos, but yeah, for now there's that. And in this source folder, we have our main.rs with the main function, that's our entry to the code. And now we will expand it however we want. So for compiling this project, we run cargo build from the root of this project. So basically it's running Rust C behind the scenes and compiling this. It's exactly the same thing. So let's try to remove that. It will give the errors how Rust C gives us the exact same thing. Okay, now once we have compiled this, it creates a new folder called target, and inside this folder we have our executable. So the executable is basically in target debug and the name of our project. That will be our executable name. So yeah, hello world. We can also do cargo run. So what cargo run does is it will run Rust C or compile the code, basically cargo build and run it. So yeah, basically this is the better option for us doing cargo run. Now let's see what else. Yeah, once this Rust analysis is showing us an error because when we started our project, we didn't had a project set up here, so it couldn't detect anything there. But if we restart the Rust analyzer, it will work fine. But yeah, for this tutorial, we don't need this. But yeah, Rust has an inbuilt formatter. So let's try to do this, save this. Now if we run rust fmt or the Rust formatter and try to format the source main rs file, boom, it formats it for us. So that's there. Okay, I think we have gotten into the basics of this. So we have learned about basic variables and how to use cargo. Let's keep it there. So get Rust set up on your system and try these things out, and we'll learn more about how to set up your project properly with cargo and other things like loops, functions and stuff in upcoming videos. So yeah, hopefully I managed to teach you something. If you again like the video, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment on how I can make these videos better. So thank you for watching. Keep learning.